On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we're going to be jumping right into Star Trek Discovery, Season 2, Episode 1, Brother. Right after this.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I am David C. Robertson.
Hey, buddy. What's happening?
What's happening, man? We're into Season 2.
Yeah, I was very excited to be getting into some new Star Trek. I really enjoyed the rewatch, and hope we got a lot of new people here listening. I'm Matthew Carroll. This is Dave C. Robertson. We're enjoying doing this cast for you guys, and I figure there's going to be some new listeners with the new content, so
possibly.
Let us know what you're thinking. What you're liking, what you're not about this new show. We'd love to get some actually feedback episodes going. Yeah. So I'm going to let you go first. What are your thoughts? Well, give us that summary.
That sweet summary.
From
CBS All Access. By the way, yeah, this episode is called Brother, and you didn't call me bro or anything when you told me to give you the summary. I mean,
I never do that.
Sure, we have it on tape.
That's rewatch only.
Oh, gotcha. After answering a distress signal from the USS Enterprise, the USS Discovery welcomes aboard Captain Christopher Pike and begins a new mission to investigate the meaning behind 7 mysterious red signals. Michael Burnham grapples with her past, growing up on Vulcan with her foster parents and brother Spock. I almost said foster penis.
Okay. Sometimes you gotta foster those things. Okay. Dave's got the giggles.
I'm sorry, man. It's kind of late, and I don't know.
It is late. We're recording this at 1 in the morning. So, So, you go first. What are your thoughts on this episode? I'm letting you go first because
I liked it. I liked it a lot. For any new listeners out there, I don't want to harp on this too much, but I know what the producers say. I don't consider this canon with the original series or the prime timeline, as it were. There are just too many discrepancies for me, but I do enjoy it as an alternate universe tale, so that's where I'm coming from on that. I love all of the references to Lewis Carroll. That is something that they brought over from the animated series, actually. And where Spock said that his mother used to read him the Lewis Carroll Alice tales.
Yeah. I remember us talking about it before. I'd forgotten that it was in the animated series. That's kind of neat.
Right.
It's the Harley Quinn of the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, but it brought in it added a lot of spokes to the wheel in the Star Trek universe, actually.
That's what I've heard that. I've never watched the animated series, but
I enjoyed everything about the girl who made the stars. I enjoyed everything about the girl, the flashbacks of her coming to live with Sarek and Amanda. Still not loving Sarek, but it is what it is.
I did think Sarek was different this season.
He seemed a little more composed, a little less smiley than he has before.
Yes.
He's usually got that actor usually has this smarmy grin. But he didn't have it this episode, and I was happy for that.
Yeah, it seemed like he took the note that people didn't think he was Sarek enough, and he was really trying to be more Sarek.
Yeah, he seemed a little more stoic.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Tilly throughout this entire episode.
Oh, yeah, I like Tilly a lot. I'd never have a Tilly problem.
Yeah, man.
So, my feelings are different.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hate this episode, but I had really fallen into a rhythm of liking what they were doing last season. After the rewatch really made me like what they were doing. And this episode feels like a major course correction for this show. Not that that's a bad thing, and not that I don't like it, but it felt like a pilot to me. Like
it just felt like a new story.
Interesting. I hear you, and I don't mean like everything starting a new chapter. I mean everything just felt different, including, as I mentioned, Sarek felt different. Stamets felt different. I think even Burnham felt different. Saru, I don't know. Everybody just seemed to feel like they were probably taking notes on what, things that were liked or not liked in the first season. And of course, you also had the lighting was totally different this season, which is explainable inside the canon because, Lorca wanted it to be a different kind of lighting. To me, it felt like a totally new show. Did not feel nearly as connected to the first season as I was hoping. And I just haven't really found an emotional arc to hold on to yet. And that's disappointing to me because I feel like there were a lot of emotional arcs last season that really had me hooked. And this season, I feel like they started it off trying to start from zero. Like the last season was kind of panned. Let's just start from zero and create this whole brother thing. And that seemed to be the main emotional impetus behind Burnham's story this season, is her relationship with her brother. The episode's called Brother. And it just seemed to be a little bit, I don't know, starting from zero. So I'm not not enjoying it. It just it did not feel like Discovery, which is funny because the whole complaint has been that Discovery doesn't feel like Star Trek. And now I'm sitting here going I don't know if this feels like Discovery. I don't know.
I think it feels more like Star Trek than it did previously, but I still thought it felt like Discovery. I felt like that this episode did a really good job of marrying the two.
I definitely think they were trying to do that. I just think I'm going to need a couple episodes to get used to this new tone. I think it's going to take, and I think I'm going to it's going to take me some getting used to the new storyline and getting emotionally invested.
I had a lot of laughs here. And that was fun, and I attribute a lot of that to Pike. I really liked what Anson Mount was doing. I really liked where they were going with Pike's character. I like that he just pops on and goes, "I'm not Lorca. Just, you need to know that right now." You know what I mean? I liked the change in tone a lot. And not as finally they stopped being, what they were last season. I enjoyed what they did last season. I'm enjoying this too, though.
Yeah, I dig that. So getting a little more, I guess, into the plot of the episode. One thing they brought Pike on, and they said after the war, where we've instituted this new thing where you get your DNA checked. I really wish they'd also instituted a universe check, because we know they have the ability to check what universe you're from based on your atoms or whatever, your quantum frequency. I really wish they had done that. That would have just been a nice but I also know that it was classified, so maybe that's something they can't easily put into place. But it seems like they would want to after Lorca came and ran a ship for 2 years.
But yeah, because it's classified, it might actually be something that's scanned immediately without anyone's knowledge.
That's possible. That is possible.
But yeah, I liked that.
I enjoyed Pike a lot. Just in general. He felt like an old Star Trek captain. He felt very much like Prime Universe, original series. I have seen The Cage recently, and he reminded me of that Pike well enough.
Jeffrey Hunter.
Yeah, he at least reminded me of that kind of a captain, I guess.
Right. So I really enjoyed the action of this episode. Oddly enough, it had me on the edge of my seat. I mean, not literally, because I'm a lazy guy and I like to lay back. Right. But. The heart rate was up a little bit. I was like, oh, shit.
There were definitely some moments when she got stabbed through the leg by that molten steel or titanium or whatever it was, and let out that scream. I was like, man, I'm feeling her pain. I really am. And I agree with you. The action was fun and stakes filled this episode. I thought that they did a direct sort of jab at the 2009 Star Trek. With the, they put 4 people, in those pods to go thing. And he even, to drive it home even more, he said something about her red shirt. And then
that was the quote unquote red herring, as it were.
Yes, the red herring. Good call. He said something about her red shirt, and so you almost assume, he literally said red shirt on screen. Like they are hanging a lantern on the fact that they're sending a red shirt out on a dangerous mission, and then they killed the other guy.
Yeah, they killed the asshole, the stuffy asshole who is kind of a douchebag who wasn't Spock. Like,
yeah,
we all wanted it to be Spock. It wasn't Spock. They knew that.
Yeah.
But they wanted to just kind of throw us off just a little bit.
I very much expected him to die. And especially once he started not listening to Burnham.
Oh, yeah. I was like, no, he's done. That's it. Yeah,
for sure. That statement that made to me was that we are not 2009 Star Trek. We're not going to try to do like a greatest hits, kind of like a wink and a nudge at and sort of like just do the things that were sort of expected out of Star Trek, sort of the stereotypes of Star Trek, like the red shirts. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to actually try to make it less predictable. I don't know. I thought that was, I thought they were trying to say something with that well, sort
it's
of
funny
jab.
Because the showrunner is Alex Kurtzman, who co-wrote the 2009 Star Trek, and he directed this episode.
Oh, yeah? That's funny. All right. Well, maybe it wasn't so much as a jab, but it definitely seemed like a reference.
Like, he's literally the showrunner right now.
Yeah. I still think that they're obviously doing something different with this show than they do with the 2009 Star Trek. It's a different kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's still Star Trek turned action up to 11.
I don't think its action turned up to 11. Like, it was pretty slow up until the point where they got in those pods.
They were in those pods like 10 minutes into the episode, though. And then once they were in those pods, they had the huge pod scene, and then they had that huge exploding building scene. There was like a good 30 minutes of action couched in the middle of this 45-minute episode, there was a lot of action in this episode.
There was. I'll agree with that, but I don't. It sounds like you're talking about it pejoratively.
Oh, I'm not.
A lot of Star Trek fans do. Like, a bunch of action and grittiness. I'm like,
right.
Well, you got to do something.
I don't mind action and grittiness at all, and I'm not trying to put it down. I'm just acknowledging that I was saying that it's action heavy like the other stuff, but like the 2009 stuff. But they're trying to do something different, even though it is also an action packed series.
And for what it's worth, I think the original series was pretty action packed. It was as action packed as any action packed thing was in the 60s.
Sure.
It was just 60s action packed, which was those high up cameras on cranes capturing the stand-ins punching each other.
Yes. I get that. That was the action of the day. Now, and I guess even you're looking at TNG, it was probably the action of the day. They've all tried to be action heavy in their own ways, but the thing that I don't like, and I've said it over and over, is just when the action has no stakes and the emotional weight of the episode isn't there, or the logical weight or whatever. It's just action for action's sake. I just don't care.
I felt stakes throughout this entire episode.
Yes, I mostly felt stakes. Kind of. I say I did. The person they put in the most jeopardy, it seemed like, was Burnham, with that whole secondary, molten metal through the leg and all that stuff. And I never really felt for a moment like they're going to kill Burnham, you know?
Well, it's not. I knew they weren't going to kill her, but you know, I knew based on the trailers, I knew she had to have that Red Angel experience. My curiosity about the Red Angel thing is really driving my interest, but at the same time, just because I know she like in Star Trek 2, I know that Spock comes back in Star Trek 3, but I still cry every time he dies.
Right.
So, like, even as I knew that she would live, I was still like, ooh.
Yeah, no, and I said the same. Like, I said, when she makes that scream, I was there. I was with her.
Right.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to shit on this episode in any way. I'm just trying to kind of break down what's different. I'm still trying to figure out what is different.
It's like, I'm not trying to shit on this episode. I am trying to lightly vomit on it.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know how I feel about this episode because the tone was so different to me. And I know you don't agree with that, and that's fine. I felt like the tone was different. I do agree with that. I just enjoyed what they did here, too. Right. Your supposition was that this is a good blending of the Discovery tone and the Star Trek tone of yore. I don't feel that way. I feel like it's a weird new tone that I'm not used to. It doesn't feel like a seamless blending of those two things. To me, it felt jarring. And I don't think the episode was bad. I didn't think that it, I don't know. I'm along for the ride. I enjoyed season 1. I love Star Trek. I'm along for the ride. I'm excited to see what they do with it, but it has not captured me the way that by the end of Discovery season 1 it had, you know.
I wouldn't say it's seamless, but I don't mind the seams. I don't mind seeing what they're going for. I feel like they hung a lantern on it pretty well. I think they called it out pretty well at times.
Sure.
With the differences. And God bless them. I just love Saru, and I like how much I feel like they know that the fans have really latched on to Saru because they gave him a lot of dignity in this episode.
They did.
Where Pike is like, dude, I'm not here forever, and then he does wind up staying, and he's like, and Michael's like, does Saru know? Like, yeah, he's good with it. He's all right.
Yeah. And Pike makes very deliberate choices to give him dignity, and that's one of the many differences between Pike and Lorca. Lorca stepped all over Saru, and this is a very different captain. And yes, I think that is like the change of having Pike instead of Lorca is the biggest lantern of, hey, this is a different era of the show, you know. I really wonder what they will do next season. Like, who's the commanding officer? Does Saru become captain finally? They were supposedly on their way to pick up their new captain, so
right.
I suppose there's going to be a new captain. It's interesting to me, man. I'm interested to see what they do.
Well, they could just flat out make Burnham the captain. You know, that has precedent in the Star Trek universe. Sisko wasn't a captain when he first started. He was commander.
Sure.
And 3 or 4 seasons in, they made him. I don't remember how many they made him captain.
I don't either. He was still the commanding officer, though.
He was still the commanding officer, absolutely.
Of his little station.
But yeah, they could do Saru. They could go Burnham way. I don't think it really matters as long as they keep the quality up. And I feel like they did this for this episode. It didn't feel the same as the other as last season necessarily. Some parts did, and I don't feel like they were completely starting from zero, like you said. I felt like Tilly was very much picking up where she left off. Stamets absolutely picking up where he's left off. Heartbreakingly so.
Obviously, the emotional stakes of last season are still intact, but Stamets felt different. Well, maybe it's him not on mycelium for a while. Like, he's just a little more, he may have been a little more like the original Stamets, a little more stern, a little less tripped out.
See, I felt like he was sad and haunted, and he wanted to go. He wanted to leave, and he was tired. That's how it felt to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
But did you see the little stinger for the rest of the season?
I did.
Looks like they're sporing again, man.
I know, yeah. It looks like the spore drive will continue to be used this season, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if they worked out the legal stuff, or if the fact that the tardigrade was really the only legal challenge they were facing. Maybe the spore drive's fine. They just have to stay away from tardigrades.
The last I heard, the proof was on the Discovery team with a lawsuit. So I don't know what's going on with that still. Like they're gonna have to prove that they didn't steal it somehow.
Right.
I don't know exactly what's going on with that, but they're not even using a tardigrade anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I think when I'm really still trying to formulate my thoughts. I mean, we literally watched this and then sat down to cast, so I'm still formulating my thoughts on this episode. And I think here's what I think the problem is.
Okay.
For me, talking about the emotional stakes not being there and trying to find, like, anytime I sit down to a show, I need to know what I'm looking for, what I'm rooting for, what I'm caring about. Mm-hmm. And so far, the two things I think they're trying to pull me through the story with aren't working. Because Spock, the whole Spock brother resolution with his sister thing, I'm not feeling it yet. I don't know why. It's not resonating with me yet. Maybe it's because I'm a heartless bastard who doesn't care about his siblings. Just kidding. Love you, John and Jen. Second,
they're not listening.
Definitely not. Even if they decided to check an episode out, even this episode, there's no way they made it this far.
No. They were like, we didn't know he was doing it with Dave.
Turned it off immediately after they saw it was you.
They burned their iPhone.
The second part that should be, I guess I wish they'd spent a little more time developing this on this episode. I could have really used some more about why this Red Angel thing means something. Like, I feel like most of my caring about this Red Angel comes from trailers and things that, like, we've talked about on the podcast. This episode did not make me care about the Red Angel or even these signals or whatever. Like,
right.
I really wish, I know they gave a quick scene about it, but I feel like that should have been the thrust of this episode that, like, drove me to the next episode. And instead they did take a 20-30 minute detour to have this big action sequence, which I liked. I enjoyed saving those people. Tig Notaro was cool, like working on the body, the bodies of her crew, the fact that she stayed behind. Like, I loved all that. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But it almost felt like that could have been a second episode, and maybe the first episode could have shown me why I care. Because it just felt like, like an anomaly. It felt like an anomaly that you see anomalies on Star Trek almost every episode. There's like something out there and they've got to go check it out. And that's as far as we got. There's something out there. We have to go check it out. I understand from the trailers and from the very little bit of time they spent on it that it was 7 signals that appeared over light years. I could have even used just a couple more lines about how that's impossible. No one has that technology. There's no way it's natural. They said a few of those things, but it's like,
yeah, they did.
It didn't. I don't feel curious yet about that. It just feels like an anomaly that I'm like, yeah, there's an anomaly and it's red. Like, I don't understand why I should care yet. Most of the reasons I care are all from our discussions and from the trailers, not from what is contained in this episode. And so those are the two things that are bothering me, that are actually bothering me. The new tone I'm getting used to. And that's just going to take me a couple episodes probably. But those are the two things that are bothering me, is that I just don't care yet.
I was fine. I'm fine with being given the stakes more or less in a trailer and then just letting the actual episodes breathe. But I felt like they did, even from that standpoint, I feel like they did a fine job in this episode of setting up the stakes, which is like, hey, there's a bunch of stuff out there, and like, why are you here? All three of those reasons you just said, buddy. Shit's going down. I'm fine with that. I liked the action, the rescue mission. I showed you a little more about about what kind of a captain Pike is.
Yeah.
I liked his reaction when he realized that they were leaving Burnham behind. I like that he came back for her. That just shows you what kind of he is not Lorca, and I really enjoyed that. Even though I love Lorca and miss him dearly.
Yeah. I think that was another thing about when I felt like they were both trying to convince each other that they were Starfleet and that they were good guys. Like, obviously Pike is trying to show that he's not Lorca, and the crew, particularly Burnham, is trying to convince him that they are also fully Starfleet, and it just felt like they were both weirdly bringing baggage to the table.
Yeah.
That is understandable, but it muddled the waters for me, because there's like, he's like standing, it's like, why are we arguing? Like, he's standing up like, no, we're gonna save those people, and she's like, you know what? Well, I think we should save those people. It's like, why is there an argument? Like, why is anyone even... why did he feel like he needed to protest so much, you know?
Because they're both coming to the table with preconceptions, and I dug that.
Yeah.
I really like this episode.
Cool, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm not mad at you for liking it. I liked it too. I just don't care yet about the overarching story, and I'm unsettled by the tone. Those are my two big complaints.
When Spock wasn't on that transporter pad, the disappointment on Michael's face was palpable. I loved everything with her and Sarek, how Sarek was like, something went on between you two, and I don't know what it is. You're welcome to share it with me. That was a nice moment. Despite my disdain for the actual actor playing Sarek, I thought that was a nice moment. I did put that aside to enjoy the moment.
What do you think that is? What do you think went down between Burnham and Spock?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. It made me worry that they're going to go with like in their teen years they had a romance. Like, legitimately, that's what like it seemed like, and I was like, what? That's weird.
Right. I wasn't getting that feeling, especially since she seems so much older than him.
Well, yeah.
But hell, they did it on Star Wars, whatever.
Yeah, that's very true. Anyway, I really hope that sense I got was wrong.
But yeah, the action stuff so far was a little save the cat, but it introduced the Red Angel to Burnham.
Sure. And
it introduced this B plot that we're going to have this season, where whatever this new science stuff that they're dealing with, this impossible piece of meteor that doesn't make any sense, that Stamets and Tilly are going to be messing with this year.
Yeah, I agree. I guess, and I'm not sitting here trying to shit on the episode, but like, I would have rather them make me care about the signals or the Spock thing or the strange matter, and instead it felt like a bunch of things getting dropped in for later caring.
They made me care about all of it.
That's great. I'm glad. They did not. They were not successful in my case.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it as a like fun little Star Trek ride, but
yeah.
It didn't. I'm not any more invested in the story than I was before I turned it on.
I didn't care about the new science rock, whatever they were talking about, until I saw how giddy both Tilly and Michael were in sickbay.
Right.
And that made me excited for it. I was like, yeah, okay, cool.
I liked that, except I was super annoyed by the way they captured it. I thought that was dumb as hell. Like, this episode was pretty fun and mostly held together, but that part was dumb as hell. Like, sure, catching it that way is one thing. Like, catching a humongous rock in your shuttle bay is like an interesting and fine idea. How about not have 40 people standing next to the humongous space rock as it flies in at crazy speeds?
Well, I don't think they were all standing around.
They were absolutely standing around. Before, the moments before that rock flew into the shuttle bay, they're all standing around, including two of our main characters, Stamets and Tilly, are standing like 4 feet from where the rock is going to be stopped.
Yeah, I know that was true, but they did yell for everyone to get out of the way.
No, they didn't.
Next time,
they did. They yelled for everyone to get out of the way 2 scenes earlier when they were putting out the gravity thing, because for some reason the gravity, the gravity generator or gravity simulator they called it, has an insane opening mechanism where it quickly expands. Like, some of that stuff was silly. And
yeah, that was silly.
And the rock flying in, like, if you can go back and watch it, there are people standing on the other side of the rock from Tilly and Stamets that would have had their heads knocked off. So did they just stand there and duck as it flew in? Like, what the... Like, we've seen the ship... on the outside of the ship, these rocks are like hitting the ship and scraping the ship. Did no one think, like, maybe this slingshot idea is great, or like this like catch the comet idea is wonderful. How about we clear the shuttle bay?
Yeah, you're right.
That was dumb.
Like, I would go back and go back and look and see how many people were actually standing around. But
it looked like a lot to me.
Navigating through an episode on CBS All Access is like an act of Congress.
Oh, I know. So. I freaking hate their playback. It's constantly like restarting on me.
Yeah.
Supposedly they have a feature with no ads now. Which costs more, of course.
Sure, absolutely.
Which I'm probably willing to pay a little bit extra to not have ads, because I don't know. I think these Star Trek episodes probably work better without ads. Especially bad ads that show the same ad every time and keep, like, jumping back for no reason. I really, really hate their player.
You know what ours was doing when we were trying to watch it? Was they would cut in an ad right before the climax of the scene.
I hate that.
And then, like, it'd come back and the scene would end.
I've had that happen before.
We were like, what the hell, man? It did like 3 times in ours.
Ugh.
But yeah, if there were that many people standing around, that's dumb.
There were a whole lot of people standing around, and definitely people on the other side of the rock. Like, they could have edited it differently, and it might have worked.
That's dumb.
No, there was a lot of space on the other side of the rock from where that gravity simulator was. It was in,
when
like,
it
the
came
middle
back
of the
and it
shuttle
was...
bay.
Once it had landed, I've just figured everyone, like, crowded around it after it was secure.
That would have made a lot of sense, but it had the way they edited it. It's edited.
Yeah, it's a hard word.
It is a hard word. Edited is a hard word. The way they edited that scene made it seem like it was just immediately, and even if those other people did gather around on the other side, like, still, just Tilly and Stamets standing in front of that generator as it, like, careens toward them was just as dumb. Like, it wasn't less dumb. One other thing that, and I keep pointing out the bad things. I just feel like I've got more bad to say. Maybe I didn't like this episode. The other thing that I thought was really strange was letting Burnham into Spock's quarters. Isn't that weird? He just talked about how he respected his science officer, and he gave him as much time as he wanted. And Burnham's like, "Can I go rifle through his things and listen to his personal logs?" Sure, person I just met.
But he also knew that it was his sister.
Well, he also knew that it's his estranged sister who he doesn't talk to anymore. And he's like, how do you, has he talked to you about why we don't talk anymore? No, he hasn't. He hasn't confided that into me. All I know is, by his estimation, he doesn't want a relationship with you, or doesn't have a relationship with you. Like, then he lets him into his room. At this point, it'd be one thing if they were like, Spock's in trouble. We found out his personal log. We need to find him. And then they sent his sister into his room to, like, look through his things to figure out what had gone wrong.
Yeah, you're right. That's a little weird.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
It's a little weird.
But, whatever. They did it. And then, see, that's the thing. The end of the episode is supposed to be this big moment where you see that apparently Spock knew about the red flashes before anyone else did. I think. Is that what we're supposed to think there?
Yeah.
But I so didn't have a connection to the red flashes or understand at all what they could mean, except for through trailers, that it didn't matter to me that he had knew. Like, it's this big shocking moment, and she goes, "Oh, Spock," and I was like, "Why are you so freaked out by that?" that was my reaction to that. I was like, why are we upset? I don't know why we're upset. And it's the big stinger of the episode. It's like the moment of the episode where you're like supposed to, have an emotional reaction, and then it cuts to black, and she's like, "Oh, Spock, my brother," or something like that. And it's like, he knew about a scientific phenomenon that you didn't know about a couple days early or whatever.
Well, not only that, they didn't, they couldn't find all the different red spots. They only had one that they could go to. So, and now we find out that Spock had a map to all of them.
Okay, I guess that's the thing. Yeah, I do we? But that's the thing. They had a very similar map earlier in the episode, though. They showed all 7 appearing, and then they just disappeared. But then they were like, "We can't find them now," and it's like, why not? We just saw them on the maps, like where they were.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember them having an actual map of them.
They did. They showed the anomaly that they're trying to figure out. It just felt like just a basic Star Trek anomaly. It didn't feel different to me. Okay. So I have no reason to feel a threat. Now, from the trailers, I know that that foretells death and all this stuff. So, from the trailers, I know that. But watching this episode, I got none of that. And I don't like relying on trailers, because trailers can be very deceiving. A lot of times they're edited wrong. Freaking Hulk never shows up in Avengers Infinity War. Well, not at the end. Not in Wakanda. It's just, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like the idea that, you have to rely on a trailer to get hyped for the season. Gosh.
Right.
Okay, it's worse than I thought. I just had to look it up because we were talking about it. It's at 51 minutes into this episode is where they catch that rock. And the moment it cuts to the inside of the ship, it shows the rock, and you're looking at it from Stamets and Tilly's perspective, and you see all the people behind them, and there is legitimately 40 people standing behind it, and they're still ducking slightly.
Wow.
They kind of stand up like, whoa, that was close. We knew we were all doing this. This is what the ship was doing. Sometimes it feels like on Discovery, no one knows what else is going on the ship.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Because in the original series and in the Next Generation, when they sent a shuttle pod out, everyone left.
Yeah.
They evacuated for shuttles coming and going.
Yeah. I think this is an egregious silliness. I don't know why they need, I don't know why it makes the scene have any more weight. Except, I guess, to just have, an interesting scene where Tilly and Stamets are staring at the rock face to face. But, to me, that is the kind of thing that I'm like, that's That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where it's like removing the substance of the moment and like any like sensical nature to the moment and putting in something that looks cool. Like that's the kind of thing that really bothers me about 2009 Star Trek and about this. Like,
yeah, you're right. You're right. I see the point. They could have tractor beamed a piece of that rock in and it would have been fine.
Yeah. Where's the tractor beam in this? I don't know. Anyway, but that's, gosh. Oh, fuck CBS All Access. Sorry. Screw CBS All Access. I want to pause it on that moment when all those crew members are there. But if when you pause it, it minimizes the whatever. So that's dumb. Anyway, CBS All Access is stupid, but I like Star Trek, and this is fun. I'm glad we're getting more of it. I'm conflicted on the whole issue, Dave. All right. Well, let's you want to get to quotes?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. What you got? I did not write any down. Nothing stood out to me, and that made me feel sad because I was trying to listen for them.
I really liked when Tilly came in yelling, and just as all the noise went away, she's like, "Way to go, comms!" Yeah,
that was funny. That was very funny.
I really liked Saru's mention of his sister and saying that there was a terrain between them that cannot be navigated.
Yeah, I liked that line a lot, and I liked that Burnham connected with it on a emotional level instead of the actual physical level that he was talking about.
I really liked between Pike and one of the red-shirted officer. She says, "I see where the Federation puts their pennies," and he says, "Do not covet thy neighbor's starship."
Yeah, that was nice.
And then she's like, "Anyway, we got the new uniforms."
Yeah, right. Which that was the other thing. They kept talking. I don't know which ship is supposed to be newer. Because, or like more advanced, because on the bridge of Discovery, as they pulled up to the Enterprise, and I think it was more fan service than anything, they made every member of the crew say something about how beautiful the ship was. And how jealous they were, and Saru talks about how he studied the specs of the ship and how it would take a lot more to bring that ship down, and so like they're all talking about how amazing the Enterprise is, but then as soon as they show up, the crew members of the Enterprise show up on Discovery, they're like, "Wow, this ship's amazing." It's like, are they all just every other Federation ship is that amazing, or do they have just completely different ships? I guess.
They're just different. Like, and this, like, I didn't remember them saying that it would take a lot more.
Oh, not more than Discovery. He said it would take a lot or something. He'd take like they were like, I've seen the specs, and they would take a lot to bring that ship down. Sorry, not more.
And which is true, because the Constitution class starship is built for long range missions, 5-year mission, like without contact or with very little contact anyway.
Right.
So, if you go by actual canon, Kirk was the first to actually bring her back after a 5-year, to actually complete a 5-year mission.
Oh, really? Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore, yeah. That's, but where was that said in canon?
I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah, curious.
It might be one of those like non-canon things in a book that everyone just takes for granted because they want to make Kirk cool.
Right, that's what I was wondering, because it would have had to have been said in the movies, and I don't remember that. And it would have been a weird thing to say, not necessarily a weird thing to say in a movie, but
then again, it might have been some offhand comment that Data made, about the original Enterprise or something. I don't know.
That's true.
I don't remember.
So that'll be interesting if Memory Alpha has something to say about that. Yeah. Another snarky Memory Alpha comment.
Let's see. I think I have more. Stamets to Tilly. Repeat after me. I will say fewer things. Fewer all.
Yeah. Oh, before we go, that is a good quote, but speaking of our previous discussion and the ships, it was weird. I don't remember them showing these large expanses inside the ship. this last season at all. Do you remember? Is that a completely new thing?
Large expanses?
Yes, in the first couple moments of it, when they were bringing Pike and crew on, they did this pan from inside the turbo lift to outside, and it showed like this big expanses inside the ship, similar to 2009 Star Trek, like where engineering is just this humongous space. Anyway, they did not do that last season at all. And this season they showed these, they did it a couple of times where they like went through the walls and showed big, large expanses inside the ship, which I did not take Discovery to really have that last season, but apparently it does, according to this.
They were just turbo lifts. It was just the turbo lift tunnels.
One of them was, but one of them I think was a different thing. I think it actually showed as if it didn't even go through the walls at one point. It like looked up as they walked. I think it was as they walked off the turbo lift. They looked up and there was like a skylight that showed like the turbo lift tunnels. Okay, maybe it was the turbo lift tunnels as well.
I thought
those were two different spaces, but I may be wrong.
I might be wrong. I don't know. I didn't see a bunch of people ducking from a asteroid. So,
right. I did send you a picture, by the way, in the Skype chat of how many people were behind that rock.
Okay. Well, let me see. Okay, but yeah, those people behind the rock, I still feel like they just walked in and they just walked up after it was already secure. Sure.
It is possible. They do kind of do a thing where that's the shot where they all kind of like stand up. They all look like they ducked under the rock. To me, that's open to interpretation because it doesn't show them duck under the rock. But the editing and the speed of the editing, it's just clear the freaking shuttle bay. Don't try to give me a cool shot. Clear the shuttle bay. Okay, any other quotes?
Sure. I really enjoyed the Sarek thing where he says, "I do not think he ever fully accepted you." That was kind of heartbreaking. Indeed. Favorite of the episode from Pike. I was expecting a red thing. Where's my damn red thing?
I do like that.
I did like that. I didn't sit out the war with my crew just to stand down now. I like the idea that they were out so far that they couldn't get back in time for the war.
Yeah, and actually, maybe they were on a 5-year mission. Maybe they didn't complete their 5-year mission.
Yeah, that's the way I felt.
Maybe they had to come back.
Yeah, I meant to mention this earlier. When Burnham sees the Red Angel, the music cues totally sounded like the original series, and I really dug that. Like, it was just otherworldly but felt like really retro in a way.
Neat.
I liked there was a bit where Pike is talking to Burnham, and he says that Spock made them realize that logic is the beginning of understanding, not the end. Right. And that's a direct reference to Star Trek VI, where Spock tells Valeris logic is the beginning of understanding Valeris, not the end. Really enjoyed that reference. My favorite thing of the episode, period. Pike picking up the fortune cookie paper that says, "Not every cage is a prison, nor every loss eternal."
Yeah. Loved that.
That was dope.
Yeah. Liked that a lot. So was that the episode The Cage, would have happened on their 5-year mission?
Yeah, The Cage, I think, if I remember correctly, The Cage was about 4 years ago at this point.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Yeah. Dig it. I dig it.
And that's I think that could be interpreted as a reference to the fact that in the menagerie he winds up going back. Spoiler for the original series. It's only like 52 years now. 53 years. Yeah, he winds up going back to Talos 4 to that cage because now his body is a cage. He's paralyzed. And he could be given the illusion of life outside of that chair. And nor every loss eternal. The fact that it's Lorca's fortune cookie makes me feel like we're going to see Lorca again.
I like that interpretation.
Yeah. Also, might be a reference to Culver maybe coming back. They're still messing with the mycelial network. I can totally see Lorca or Culver or both coming back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we even got a little extra Culver video of Culver this episode. Mm-hmm. And I still maintain that the Culver we saw in the mycelium network last season was probably the mycelium network itself. I like that interpretation a lot. Especially, I thought about it later, and doesn't Culver, in that scene in the mycelium network, doesn't he hold up his wrist and show, like, that red damage on his wrist?
I think he was. I thought he was looking at Stamets' arm, but it may have been. Okay,
I see that. That's what I was trying to remember. It was in one of the last times on, and I was like, "Oh, wait a second," because it was. And I think it was him showing the red damage on his own arm, Culver, which to me was like the embodiment of the mycelium network showing the damage that was happening to it. Which if I'm right, maybe. But I'd have to go back and watch. I just saw it last time on, and they didn't show whose arm it was connected to, but it looked like it was Culver's, not Stamets. Just like the skin tone.
Well, we know that Mirror Stamets was clawing at his own arm because of the infection.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that's what I was seeing. That might have been it.
I thought our Stamets started getting it.
See, the last time on showed a shot of that, and I was like, "Wait, was that whose arm was that?"
Because it's in the same space where the needles go in.
Yes, that's true. Okay, maybe I am completely wrong. It is likely, but I still like that interpretation best.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Any trivia, or is it too soon?
It's too soon. They like a lot of the trivia for the first season came from that after show they did after Trek, and they didn't renew that. So
oh really?
Which is fine because I never watched it. I tried. I didn't like it.
I tried to watch it a few times too, and the only reason I'm sad about that is I'm sad for Matt Myra. I like that guy.
See, I think he was the reason I didn't like it. He was obnoxious to me.
I get that. I like him because I followed the Nerdist podcast for years and years, and I like him and Jonah, who are the two guys on there, a lot. I wasn't a big fan of the other guy, Chris, and now that's all that Nerdist podcast is mostly is that guy, Chris, and I've always liked Matt Myra and Jonah Ray, though I thought they're a lot of fun, and just like kind of characters I could root for somehow. I don't know. On the podcast, if those actual people, I could just call them characters. And so I've always kind of rooted for him, but I was kind of annoyed by him too on that show, just because the sort of the way he talked about Star Trek. I don't know. It didn't resonate with me, even though I like him. I didn't necessarily like the way he presented Trek.
He was just so loud and over the top. He reminded me of one of the Mads from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
One of the Mads? What is a Mad?
Yeah, like the bad guys, the people who are making the robots and the guy watch the movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny you say that. I just said I like Matt Myra and Jonah Ray. Matt Myra is the guy I'm just talking about. Jonah Ray is the new human on the ship on Mystery Science Theater 3000. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize
so
that.
So they moved on. They're both, Jonah Ray was a huge Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan, and Matt Myra was a huge Star Trek fan. They always talk about on the show, on Nerdist over the years, and they both went on from that show to do, like, some of their dream job. Like one of them is working for After Trek, and one of them is the new guy on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And, for all I know, Matt Myra might still be doing a version of it. The last thing I heard was they were going to be doing a Facebook live stream or something.
Okay.
But I haven't heard any more about it. So I don't know if there, but yeah, there's not a lot of trivia for this episode. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. Well, the episode just came out. I'm sure it'll start to
trickle
exist.
in.
It'll trickle in. Cool. All right, guys. Well, that's about all I have to say about that episode. Anything else you want to talk about, Dave?
No, man. I'm good. I enjoyed the episode, even though, admittedly, you've really put a downer on me with that asteroid shit.
Sorry. Did you see the picture?
Yeah, I saw the picture.
Oh, yeah. We talked about it a little bit. Sorry.
You know, I feel like I'm like a sapling in the wind, you know?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really wasn't trying to put a downer on this thing. I think it's good. I hate to put it down on it. If you found it resonating, like those storylines, the red bursts and the brother storyline, if you found those resonant, then more power to you. And I think that's awesome. And the show did its job for you.
Yeah, the red bursts, they didn't resonate with me. I'm just curious as to what the hell they are. It's the same thing with the Red Angel.
That's all I mean. Yeah, like you're really curious. The show itself did not give me any curiosity about those things. And that is the main reason why I'm skeptical of this season so far. I'm really hoping that we see we see some things in the coming episodes that really intrigue me. Like, I really want to be intrigued by these red bursts and the Red Angel. I am by the Red Angel more so because, like, who is that's like showing up in that moment? Like, who can even exist on that asteroid at that moment? Mm-hmm. I would have to chop it up to like Burnham hallucinating, but I'm fairly certain that's not what it is.
Right. But yeah, I'm in.
Awesome, man. I'm into.
I've had to headcanon some dumb shit before in Star Trek, obviously, so I'm not worried about the asteroid.
Yeah, I guess if you assume that it was just editing and like there was more time between this cut and that cut, then maybe that works. But they just tried to cut it together, make it an action scene. And they did. I just feel like in Star Trek, capturing an asteroid and getting a sample shouldn't have to be a big action scene.
Right. Just like old Star Trek should have. There's a happy medium, because old Star Trek would do things like, let's establish the tractor beam is touching the thing from an external shot of the ship. Now let's establish. I mean, they would do the whole nine. Like, everyone leaves the hangar bay. They're setting up the machine. Then the tractor beam is going outside to capture the thing. Then we see it slowly go back in as we cut to like close-ups of Kirk and Spock and McCoy all looking at each other. And then we cut back down, and it's still at the same place relatively, going inside the hole. And it's just like, just do it. Just do the thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's there is a happy medium.
There has to be.
I think they're still looking to find that medium. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with more Discovery. I'm excited, man. Discovery Season 2. It's here.
Yeah, I hope you like the next one better.
I hope so too. And again, didn't hate the episode. Just don't find myself caring about the next one more than I wanted to care more at the end of this episode than I did at the beginning, and I don't. And that's all.
I do want to point out, they never actually said that Pike gave her permission to go into Spock's quarters. For all we know, she could have gone and like hacked the lock or something. We don't know.
Yeah. Maybe.
She could have found a way around it. Maybe. I don't know. I need to go back and look at it again.
I agree. She just asked to go over to the Enterprise. But it just seems strange to me. Like, why she has access there. And sure, she could have been hacking, but then it seems like she'd get in trouble for that. Like, that's inappropriate. You're hacking your brother's thing.
What are they going to do? Kick her out for treason?
Right. I mean, like, if that were the case, you'd think it would at least affect Pike's trust of her. If he took advantage of his kindness in letting her go check it out, and he she snuck into his room. That is interesting. Like, I'd be interested to see in the next episode if we get a line where she's like, I found this in Spock's room. And he's like, what? Why were you in Spock's room? But
you just want to walk around the Enterprise.
Why don't rooms have locks? I don't know. Why don't personal logs require, some sort of verification? Yeah, like iPhones have codes on them,
Well, they might have. I mean, but if she knew like a code that, if like his code was Alice.
Sure.
That's
a trope. I don't think Spock would use such a simple code.
I don't either.
But anyway, it's not that's.
But maybe that's the brilliance behind it.
Nope, it's not.
No one would ever suspect Spock of using such a simple human code.
I think he probably uses I just don't they have voice print and fingerprint and all that kind of stuff, retinal scans.
I'm not sure. I feel like that's just one thing I never noticed on the original series. I've never actually paid attention to it. I know that when they get in the turbo lift, they have to turn the little lever for it to keep going. But I think they just walk into their quarters, man. Right.
But I always assume that there is some sort of biometrics happening to make sure you're allowed to walk into your room. Maybe not.
You can walk into your room, but then other people has to chime in or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I've always seen it happen on the ship. But anyway, yeah, we'll be back next week, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, live long and prosper.
To reach out to us, hit us up at StarTrekUcast.com, at Star Trek UCast on Twitter, Star Trek Universe Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for us there, or send us a message at StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv. And if you want to hear more from Matthew Carroll, that's me, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, or go listen to my music at MatthewCarrollmusic.com or anywhere you get music.